Y'all already know what time it is. This is an unfiltered raw podcast. And last time I had a special guest, Mr. Horace Towns. He's back with me. And this time I'm making sure y'all can really hear him. Y'all already know I am not a tech genius, but I make sure this time that it actually says record in the corner. So,
okay.
This time we're talking about dating in the time of Me Too. And I mentioned this at the end of the last broadcast because last year I did a show on Me Too and whether the Me Too movement is hurting us as women. And I thought that it would be great to revisit this with a gentleman because I feel like we need to have a man's point of view about a lot of these topics, especially as it relates to dating and relationships, rather than just having a one-sided conversation with a woman about my point of view and whether Me Too is hurting us or helping us. And then again, back then, people were giving men a hard time about their feelings about Me Too and dating in the time of Me Too. And so I don't think that I think that some of the concerns that men have are valid. People were saying, oh, well, if he's a good man, he ain't got to worry about that. No, because you got some janky women that lie. And there's a history of women that lie about their encounters with men that have really cost people their lives, literally. And we've seen this repeatedly. And so I wanted to revisit this topic again with a gentleman, and I'm going to let Horace introduce himself again so you guys can know. He feels like he's a great representative of man law. So
Yes.
I'll let him introduce himself, and we're going to get into this topic about dating in the time of Me Too because I think it's really important. So Horace, tell the people about you. Who are you? Where you from? What you do? And all that good stuff.
Well, first of all, I'm internationally recognized as a representative of man law, right? So I can defend and lobby for men around the world. But again, I'm Horace Towns. It's easy just to say that I'm a mogul. I'm a business owner. I am a housing authority commissioner, and I'll cut it short this week. I won't say all the things I do. I'll keep the resume short. But I am your, I think, textbook black man right now,
right,
in America.
What are your thoughts on Me Too?
Well, I will say first off, I believe that it's a slippery slope, which I first said from the first initial, revelations and all the stories that came out. I thought it was a slippery slope. And now that I got a little wisdom, I always look for the real agenda.
Right.
Because one thing will be pushed and it's really about something else. I believe as minorities, once again, we've jumped on a movement that affects us the most. I was telling a person having a friendly debate, and I was describing to him how the women's movement back in the day was something that African-American women joined in and we jumped on board. But in reality, at that time, the black family was strong and there were no rifts between the black man and the black woman. But we got on board with the women's movement and then turned into the independent women's movement. And then our homes were in chaos.
Right.
The Caucasian women were having issues in their home, but black families were not having that. So even with the Me Too movement, I have a lot of successful male friends who are single and they want to date. But when you look at this situation where you're in the social media age, your image is just as important as your currency. So you can't take a chance on getting one or two accusations because in this day and age, it's law. Before you're able to defend yourself, you're already smeared. That article that's going to publish or speak about whatever you're allegedly done, that's going to get shared 1,000 times before you can even come to the forefront to defend yourself. And oftentimes, you'll find out that it's something that's untrue, but you never hear the retraction of that story. So you look at the Me Too movement with Bill Cosby and different Hollywood stars. I just felt like Hollywood was giving the middle finger to us because you have people like Charlie Sheen who openly admits that he has HIV. He slept with all these women. I really don't follow the Weinstein story too much because I was in entertainment. I owned a music label for a long time, so I kind of know how entertainment is. It's kind of like that.
Right.
But for someone like Charlie Sheen to admit giving people AIDS and all that stuff, and to see him walk freely and do shows about it, compared to Bill Cosby, who I thought shouldn't have even replied to any of the allegations 40 years later, is in jail at old age with no sympathy at all. So I just think we jump on board and we get the most severe punishment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think that there's I want to say that this too, journalism has a lot to do with the story, and how a lot of things are depicted, even in feminism as it was even back in the day prior to social media. The whole, and I'm not anti-feminist, trust me, I am by no means anti-feminist. I think that definitely the media has a huge part to play in how things are communicated. And we have to remember that journalists, as much as they try to be neutral and non-biased, the reality is a part of who you are and how you feel about the subject that you're writing about always at some point leaks into the story. And then it's just a matter of all journalists are writing the same thing, and it's just their take on it from one point to the next. If you read articles now, it's literally everybody writing about the same thing, and it's the same source, it's the same information. It's not necessarily that it's vetted as well as it used to be back in the day when news was like, just report the facts, this is it. But everybody, it just goes a little bit deeper. I know when I was in school and I was part of journalism, it was, you got to answer the questions: who, what, when, where, how, and why. That's all you need to know. Who, what you, how you feel about it is irrelevant. But I think a big part of us, when we see real journalism happening now, like with the Anderson Coopers and the Rachel Maddows, it's almost like, how dare you? You know what I mean? And so I think that it's important to make sure that we understand, like you said, there's a lot of conversation that goes into a lot of the movements and what's happening. And I do think that it's important to look at the agenda, who's behind it and why and what it is. And that's true. We didn't have a lot of issues in the Black community and Black families that we do today. I think there's a level of independence where, there's a line, and we don't know how to how to walk close to the line without crossing the line. And so my thing is, just don't even walk close to the line, because we don't know how to not cross that line. And now we have such a destruction of Black family values that it affects the dating scene now. I'm in several, I'm in a dating group, and we talk about, relationship group, and we talk about different things as it relates to dating, marriage, sex, and all different types of things, especially in the Black community. But, we talk about interracial relationships and a lot of different things. And it's really interesting to see how we think now compared to how our parents and generations before us thought about dating and relationships. So let's talk about the conversations we need to be having, especially as it relates to dating and relationships in the time of Me Too. What are some of the conversations that need to be taking place now, as it relates to all of this?
Well, I want to say something. Well, first of all, you ain't told me about no dating group. It sounds interesting. I always like to get inside those chat groups. Okay.
I will add you.
Okay. Second of all, I say as an African American man, we're always having to defend our image because of stereotypical. It's almost by design to always have us portrayed in a negative light.
Right.
I think that was what we have to be conscious of as men and women. When we're engaging in something, to make sure it doesn't add to a negative narrative that we already have. I think that's what upset a lot of people with Gayle King. We expect it to come from mainstream media, but to do it to our own, we kind of put you up in a position where we expect more responsibility,
Right.
especially in death. And honestly, when you dug into that story, you're attacking a man that's passed away, but then no one ever went back to that story that revealed so much about the person who alleged all this stuff, the bipolar, mental condition, multiple semen, yada, yada, yada. So their retraction, we never go back to that type
Because
of
the damage
thing.
is already done. The
Yeah.
hype is out there. The damage is already done. And I think, to be honest, they know this.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, we in our community, we have an expectation that you're going to protect us, and you're going to help be an advocate for us, so that our stories are told, but told respectfully, and in full transparency. To me, an apology should never be necessary, and it should have just not been done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, to your point, it shouldn't, but we have to, the media derives off of our reaction.
Oh yeah.
They put the stories out there for us to get out and share it and have conversation about it. If we stop responding to the negative stuff, especially that's about us, it
Right.
will make them change our narrative, and this Me Too thing, it's dangerous. I mean, I have probably like 3 successful friends, really successful friends, who are scared to touch anything. Like, they're single men, they want to marry, they're the typical guys that women are looking for. But, that one bad decision, can have them dealing with something negatively for a while.
Yeah.
So the guys you want are pretty much in a corner now, because as ladies, you guys say you want a guy that's strong and knows what he wants, and you want him to come at you a certain way. But guys are in a spot now where we're really, really confused.
Right.
Men don't like rejection too, you know what I
Right.
mean? But I don't come to you respectfully, and either it's downplayed or it's carried to someone else to say, oh, well, Horace Towns tried to date me, talk to me one night, and that story turns into something else.
Right. I think that too. Some of the concerns that um, some men have, that I've heard that some men have about dating in the time of Me Too, involve, not just only rejection, but um, people taking things out of context. You know what I mean? Like, if I shake your hand the wrong way, are you going to think that, or if I rub your arm, you're going to think, oh, he was rubbing off on me. Okay, really? So a lot of things, I think, some of the concerns are valid, because now things get taken out of context. And so what used to be simple flirting, is just it's like, okay, you can't flirt no more. You can't say this, you can't say that. So what can we say? What can we do? Can I shake your hand? And so, and it's at a point to where now it is, I've seen where people are saying, where a lot of guys are saying, is it okay if I shake your hand? Is it okay if I, you know what I mean? And it's like, where are we as a society where a guy has to ask if it's okay to shake a hand? Like, what's sexual about a handshake? Like, I don't, but that's where we are. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's kind
I'm
of
putting it
crazy.
back. I'm putting it back on you guys, because listen, and it's a joke, and there's always been a meme about it. The handsome guy that flirts with you is embraced.
Yeah.
The ugly guy, oh, it's assault, it's harassment. The cute
Get out of
guy,
my DMs.
oh my goodness. Listen, I met someone one time, and I don't know how to approach people, because I had been, out of the game for so long. Met someone, and I thought it was brilliant. I'm saying, hey, nice to meet you. If we can ever chat again, here's my phone number. Gave her my phone number. I'm thinking, okay, if she's down, she'll call me. If not, cool. That way I know what it is.
Right.
I inquired, a friend said, how arrogant is that? I said, what do you mean? She said, who the heck you think you are giving her your number to call you? That blew me away. It confused the heck out of me, because I'm thinking, instead of me calling you over and over, trying to gauge whether you're interested, you're not answering. I just gave you my number. If I give you my number and you call, then that means, we have a
Yeah, I
mutual
don't see anything
interest.
wrong with that. That's no
Yeah.
different than how is that different than you and saying let's get together for coffee or tea? It's
Yeah.
whether she says yes or no. If she calls or texts, then I mean that's what they used to do in the club. Like when you were in the club, that's what you exchange phone numbers. How else are
Right.
you gonna know? How else are you gonna be able to communicate? I think the mindset. I think this boils down to a mindset, and a lot of it goes back to people having some unrealistic expectations and fantasies that don't make sense. So we want this fairy tale relationship, but we don't realize that some of the things that we want, we're a catalyst for not getting it because we're not responding correctly, or we're listening to stupid people. I'm just gonna say it, that your girlfriend ain't had no successful relationships, but you still listening to her. Why?
Bang bang.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why? She ain't the expert, sis, but you don't want to listen to the girl that's been married for 20 years. You want to get married. This chick been married for 20 years. She kind of know what she talking about. I like to think she knows what she talking about. She married for 20 years and you want to get married. You don't want to listen to her, but you want to listen to the girlfriend that's Fly Diva, but Fly Diva ain't got no successful relationship in 5 years. The common denominator is her, it's not the men. And yeah, I'm probably gonna be unpopular for saying it, but it's the truth of the matter is we listen to the wrong voices and the wrong, you know what I'm saying? And that leads us down these roads that don't lead us to what we want. And I agree. I agree there. I think as a woman, for men, there's a shortage of some decent women that got good sense. I'm just gonna be honest. I personally know a chick, she got proposed to twice, and the dude was like, I'm never gonna do it again because she listened to her girlfriend.
Mm.
And she want to get married. He was like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. Why? Because she was too busy listening to her sisters, to her friends.
Yeah.
Didn't listen to her sister who's married, happily married with 2 kids now, but you got 2 kids, but you're not married. You want that life, but the dude was just like, no, because you said no to me. And I'm not gonna keep asking. And the reason you said no was because your girlfriends told you to. Why are you listening to them? Because ain't none of them got no man. And so I think that a lot of times we give good brothers a hard time because this is a very good brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, this dude getting ready, he was just like, I'm gonna lay all my Playboy ways aside. I want to be with you. Like this is it.
Yeah.
And you say no to that? Like this ain't no broke brother. This is a corporate brother, work for one of the top consulting firms in the nation, in the world. This brother, you know what I mean? He ain't no broke brother. This man had, at the time I knew him, because we went to college together, had $400,000 in real estate investments just alone. That's not including other stuff. This is a good brother, and he's telling you, I'm ready to put all of this aside. I want to be with you. This is it. Propose, and you say no because your girlfriend said no, and now you want him, and he's like, nah.
Listen, that's a whole nother. Now that should be your next show because I swear, as men, and I have all female cousins, so we'll sit down on a Saturday and talk for 3 hours, and it's been beneficial for both. But when it comes to dating right now, man, I just be wanting to point out some things that
Mm-hmm.
this generation just doesn't seem to get. We're saying we want one thing, but that's really about something else.
Yeah.
But on the Me Too issue, the biggest thing about the Me Too for me is the lack of consistency. And what I mean by that is we don't say, they say sexual assault, and then it's so vague as far as definition. Because I'm seeing all these cases about sexual assault, and everyone is different. It's not rape cases, it's sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
So men now especially are scared because it is not a concrete definition of what sexual assault is. You had Harvey Weinstein cases where, he grabbed a man. Like, these men going to prison because he improperly touched someone, you know what I mean? Especially the
Right.
Terry Crews story, right? And then you have rapists, like what is the spectrum? What is sexual assault fall with that because as men, I know me, I really don't even have a concrete definition of what a sexual assault to the point where I'm going to jail for. Where I just seen a show the other day, the guy bumped into the lady walked into him, his hand touched her boob real quick and went off. She accused him of groping her. Or even the Cuba Gooding Jr. story. Like years later, it's kind of like
These years later stories are what get me. Yeah.
the Rick James story. The Rick James story I just read about where he's being sued. He's been dead, and I think something
I was gonna
happened
say
30
Rick
years
James
ago.
been dead. Yeah, Rick James has been dead for some years. What do
Something
y'all think y'all
happened
gonna get?
30 years ago, and he's being sued, and it's kind of like, come on, man. Stuff is getting out of hand.
I agree. I agree. So, and it makes you wonder again, back to what you said, what's the agenda? And it is confusing, and a lot of it really hurts the movement if it's genuinely what it says it's about. And I'm not questioning the movement. I'm not here to talk about that, but it does affect dating. It affects it affects the whole landscape of the dynamics of male-female relationships, or even, to be honest, some same-sex relationships. I think it boils down to, are people using Me Too as an excuse, because some people will do this, as an excuse to get out of situations, or as an advantage. You know what I mean? Like, some people, to be honest, some of the questions were, are you using this to jumpstart your career? Are you using, because to me, some things I may not want to be associated with because it could very well affect my ability to date. Now, if you're
Yeah.
talking about it in context of, I really want to go to therapy to talk about how sexual assault affects me and my ability to date and trust people and interact with people, I think that's different. And I think some of the conversations that we need to be having about this is, first of all, therapy. And I really believe that when it comes to dating, Me Too, relationships, all of that, people need to be talking about therapy and why they have issues, whether it's commitment, phobia, fears, rejection, or whatever. Because I don't think you can move forward until you can have a healthy conversation about dating and your expectations. I think some of the conversations that people don't have when it comes to dating are those serious conversations of, first of all, what are your expectations? Are you dating just to be dating? And I think that what's in your mind affects how you perceive other people's interactions with you. So if you're not right up here, I'm just gonna be honest, a simple handshake or a brush across your shoulder because somebody walked too close to you can be misperceived because your perception up here is so skewed. I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think?
I say right now, like, this is a healthy conversation. But if you were in the public and you were having water cooler talk, especially on the job, which is a no-no, even having a conversation about Me Too and sharing your opinion, you'll be attacked.
Yeah.
And when the Bill Cosby thing went on, especially on Twitter, there are different people, guys, who were like, I don't see it, or I don't agree, and it's been X amount of years, this is how I feel. And those people attack them, so now I can't even share my thoughts. Hey, this is how I feel about the Cosby case. So even talking about it, you want us to respect the movement, but we can't have healthy conversation about it. Because most of the people in the Bill Cosby case, especially Janice Dickinson, came back later and said that she lied about it, to a
A lot
hand
of
selling
them,
her
but he
book.
still went to jail off of a lie.
Yeah. And then that's so the woman that he went to jail for, listen, on Twitter, the jokes that people are having, like all the women, and he went to jail for this person right here, But if I was to say that openly, especially in my position, it's like you'll get pressure to resign, or you're gonna get.
You'll be crucified.
And
Absolutely.
that's ridiculous, At this point, me and my guys were in the neighborhood talking. Even when it came to what they alleged that he gave them, they said Quaaludes and all this stuff, and I forgot what it was. I think it was like Benadryl or something, like it was something, but you didn't hear that in the court case, you know. And then my friend was like, to be honest, a lot of people in the generation before us, that's what they did during dates. Meet someone, they went out there and, you know, got them intoxicated, or they partied until, hey, the next morning, who are you?
Right.
So, you know, that's why I say it comes back to a slippery slope. And right now in America, I just see where freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that,
Oh, everything is
it's
everything.
all going out the window
Right.
because everybody's too sensitive to even
Right.
have a conversation.
I think too, a big part of why we're seeing such a big impact of movements like Me Too and feminism and a lot of different things. And again, I'm not attacking it. We don't teach stuff that we were taught growing up. At least I know when I grew up, especially and got into the dating age, we were actually taught about date rape and date rape drugs and things to look out for and what to counter, what to pay attention to, and how to handle yourself, how to carry yourself, whether you go on a date with somebody or you go to the club or you go to a restaurant. We were taught certain things, and I don't think those things that's happening anymore. I say that because yesterday I was at a business meeting, and one of the things the ladies and I were talking about is how a lot of stuff is not being taught anymore. Just general common courtesy and manners,
Mm-hmm.
just different things that we were taught growing up about hygiene. We were talking about hygiene are not taught anymore, or just courtesy, just to say hello to other people in passing. And it makes me think now that a lot of things that we were taught, that were taught back in the day aren't taught anymore. And, when you stop having home economics and you stop having these courses and open dialogue to let you know, because at the end of the day, not talking about it doesn't mean that it's not happening. It doesn't go anywhere. That affects the landscape of everything. I think that's also why we're seeing such high HIV rates among young people, because first of all, in their mind, they are deceived into thinking, oh, if I have oral sex, I'm not gonna get HIV. I can't get it. That's not true. But if you're not educated and having these conversations, that's how people fall into deception. And I think that what we're seeing and the impact that we're seeing as it relates to dating and, this whole Harvey Weinstein case and, the Charlie Sheens and all of these different cases, what we're seeing is just how little we value human life as it relates to respect and boundaries. But at the same time, are you clear about your communication? I can say, I'm honest enough to tell somebody, if you flirt with me, you just got to tell me you flirting with me. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm slow, I don't get it. You just have to tell me. Versus, so I don't get overt stuff. I'm sorry. I don't. But there are some people who do. Okay, cool, no problem. But I think that you just need to be clear and start having some conversations about things. We got side classes for how to be a side chick and how to do this. Why you can't have
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a little too old fashioned for this world, for this generation. But I think that what we're seeing is a degradation of values. And of course, all of our civil liberties are at risk. Whether it's your civil liberty, your freedom of speech, journalism, all of that is just like you said, that window, open it up and throw it out. And by not being able to have open conversation and really teach and talk about these things, it's affecting the dating scene. I don't care if you're black, white, 4 shades of midnight purple, if you Muslim, Christian, whomever, whatever. There's so much of a facade. Everybody's got a fake cover up that you don't really know what you encounter. People are dealing with sexual assault in their marriages. You can be married and still be raped.
Yes.
Sexual assault is not just for dating. And it's like, how do we get beyond or can we even get beyond the notion of what sexual assault is? You know what I mean? Because there's such a raw perception that it affects, like you said, there's no consistency. So if somebody shakes your hand, that's considered sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
How? Oh, because I didn't give him permission to be in my space or touch my body. to shake your hand, sis. And we have a lot of things, and I teach cultural stuff, cross-cultural communication. And one of the things I explain to people is here in the West, we require significantly more personal space than any other country in the world. So that's why you'll see people who don't have a problem standing on your back in a grocery store. Because in their culture, they don't need that much personal space. In America, we need a full bubble. Like, we need a full bubble in every direction around us. And so I think that a lot of it is education, you know what I mean? And having that conversation and understanding. Because like you said, there isn't a consistency. So you're telling me because somebody shook your hand, you've been sexually assaulted?
Yeah. We had a case, and I can't share. We had a case recently where they're friends, but I guess the person was looking for a way to leave the job with some compensation. One day the person she got a hug from a guy. They always give this same hug.
Right.
At this day, she claimed that he had an erection. So even coming back to, having a hug, and went to HR with it. Hey, I gave him a hug, and his erection touched me. And I'm thinking like, wow, HR is obligated to go through this whole
Process
thing for process, but it's like, maybe the guy didn't know, like, but to have a hug and you're saying like in someone intentionally, and when we heard the stories, like, did he hug you hard and rub it on you or whatever? None of that. Oh, I just felt it. So it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. And I can imagine as a man that would make you definitely, again, just some of the concerns that men would have about dating, even in the workplace. Anyway, you just basically now it's just like, I think a lot of stuff is pushing us further away from human interaction. And that's dangerous. To me, how can you function and live in this world without any type of human interaction? It is what it is. We're here to interact and engage with one another as human beings. But in the era of Me Too and dating, I really think it's hurting not just women, but men. I think it's really hurting because, again, people's perception of what sexual assault um, is really affecting our interaction with human people, one to another. Because as a woman, I'm a hugger. That's just me. I don't care who you are, but I also have to catch myself and realize, okay, LaTanya, everybody's not a hugger. So when I meet people, it's like, can I hug you? Because I understand people's personal space might make them uncomfortable. If they say no, okay, can I shake your hand? If somebody says they don't want to shake hands, I'm not going to be offended. Okay, cool. That's just not who you are. But after a while, I find that as people, encounter and get to know me, then they become huggers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's my field of study, I understand. I catch myself, but everybody may not catch themselves. And so somebody who's genuinely playful and like that, somebody else might perceive that differently. And now we have a whole bunch of, we're filling up courts and all kinds of foolishness, like you said, and people don't mean it that way. So again, it boils down to perception, and perception is not always reality, but to that person it is. And so again, I think it boils back to what's up here affects how things communicate and come out, and it affects, and it has a ripple effect. And we're seeing a huge domino effect now as it relates to Me Too and the dating scene. I remember I told you in the last episode that the guy who plays Superman, Henry Cavill, I think it is. When it first came out, he was like, he's concerned about dating in Me Too. How do I know that, how I am on a date might not be perceived incorrectly?
Mm-hmm.
I think nowadays, old-fashioned men and the way things were back then, a woman will absolutely perceive that the wrong way. And it's like, that's the kind of man you want. You want somebody that's respectful. Why don't you want that? And you don't take that the wrong way. And now, he pushed the seat up underneath me. He stood behind me while I sat down. I think he was just checking me out. No, he just wanted to hold the seat for you.
Listen, right now, the people in my age range, or at least my circle, dating is already foreign to us right now. Me Too adds a whole nother factor in there.
Yeah.
So you got Me Too, this new dating era where the guy that you my generation of women were raised up to be married, and they wanted the guy that's gonna hold, put the
Hold it
seat in,
down.
hold the door, all of that, right?
Yep.
Then you got the generation now that's talking I'm independent, but really ain't independent. They really know what that is, But they curve the guy. They curve the guy that is trying to be, the
That
gentleman.
gentleman.
We're used to going on a date. I'm gonna hold the door. I might hold your hand.
Right.
As we proceed, I might put my arm around you to show. No, so now guys are like, we don't know what to do.
Yeah, I agree. Cause I'm in that same age. Like I'm not a chirp girl. You're not gonna pull up and press no button and I open the door for myself. I'm gonna need you to keep driving. Like that's not me. I'm not. Just the other day I went somewhere and matter of fact yesterday, I was going to my meeting and the guy was he noticed that I was there. He stood back and held the door open for me. And I said, thank you. First of all, when we had that, women don't even know how to say thank you. I remember seeing that on Twitter. A guy went off, and I was like, he's absolutely right. He's not obligated to open that door. You open up your mouth and you say thank you. But I think just, again, common manners and courtesy and things that we were used to, how we grew up, we didn't grow up internet children. We didn't grow up in this new era of, independence that ain't really independence because you still living at home in your mama's basement, or, you that ain't real independence, but
and curving the guy that actually has it all.
Yeah.
But because he's mature. He ain't still, clubbing.
Trying to figure his life out.
Yeah, man, it's so bizarre right now, but I have witnessed the guy talk to a woman in the most obscure way, and get her to stop and talk. Me saying, "Hey, how you doing?" gets the So it's like mind-boggling, but the dude like, "Hey, love mama, hey you," or the dude that be, "Oh, damn,"
that's gonna holler at you from the car.
So, but the guy with some sense that's saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
They don't register nowhere, and but that's unwanted.
Right.
I just had a situation where me and my friend had to talk. A friend that I've known since we went to school with, and I am just a friendly guy. Just, hey, hold the door for you. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how's your son doing? Da da da. I'm in the community, so I really try to be that spark.
Right.
And I was, we were going to different games. I was saying like, hey, how you doing? Hey, you have a nice son. Hey, cool. And they mistook it for that I was trying to come on to them. Right. And it was like, oh, my cousin's like, why you been trying, you like her or something? I'm like, why you say that? She's like, you always, giving her compliments and you always speaking. I was like, okay.
Perception, though. I think that, again, the perception of the generation of this of the generation that we're in, or the time that we're in, is so skewed that, again, having these open forum conversations, I think it's important because from generation to generation there is a difference, and I think it's important that we start having. So maybe we need to have a town hall, a cross-generational town hall conversation about dating and relationships from, across multiple generations, so we can understand where everybody is coming from, so we can start, because it's scary dating, and understand the expectation. What are you looking for, and helping people really see that this thought process really don't make sense, because it's very contradictory to what you say you want. But when you get it, then you don't want it. It doesn't make sense. But it's like, let's paint this picture real quick and have a conversation about dating. It's 2020. What's relationship goals in 2020, and where are we going? So Yeah.
Got to be a real conversation. Like I say, the next show, like as a man, we be wanting to help. I know someone who, young lady, professional nurse, has her own home, has 2 kids, and constantly say, I want a decent guy. I want a good man. But I've, mentioned to 2 of my friends that I'm married and professional, and they're like, I don't know. Because they look at the Instagram and social media, that person's always in the bikini, always at a party, always doing what we would say doing the most, you know what I mean? And I said, well, give it a chance. Introduce them to somebody that was who I would think they would want. You're
Right.
looking for a husband, somebody that's going to come in and be able to be more than an equal, and that didn't excite them.
Right.
You know what I mean? That she didn't want that person.
Right.
So it's like, and not a bad looking guy.
Right.
You know why? Because mature wise, I'm thinking like you're still looking for the guy that's going to give you a little stress.
Yeah. Perception. Again, the perception versus reality. What you say you want versus the reality was what she was putting on Instagram. Her perception, what she was saying, but the reality was the life on Instagram. And you have to understand too your dynamics as a person. If you're a single mother, that's going to affect your dating and your dating options. And it takes a certain kind of man to come into that ready-made family dynamic. And so there's so much that we could talk about as it relates to dating and relationships and the whole family dynamic, especially in the African American community, and and seeing all the stuff that's happening with children, with the boyfriends and the fiancés that are beating these kids and killing them and all of this different stuff that's happening. You can't just have anybody around your kids. And so how are you vetting people when it comes to dating? So yeah, we're going to talk about this whole, we need to talk about dating across generations. I need to see about getting some other people that can get on here, and some people from different eras, different ages, and having like maybe some type of internet town hall where we get on and talk about dating and how different generations really see dating and what it was like. And I don't get me wrong, I think some of the stuff that our other generations put up with is not okay, and maybe that's why they've been married for 80 years. Because what I'm not going to do is, you're not going to drop no check off and you go out and party and do whatever you want and have 44 or 5 illegitimate kids. That's not okay. Just because you bringing home money. No. But, there's a respect level. I have a coworker who, she got divorced because there was a lack of respect. She was like, she was willing to get over the infidelity and go to counseling. Problem was, and they went to counseling, the problem was his level of disrespect. He did not have respect for her or the marriage. And so because of his lack of respect and willingness to be respectful and do what was necessary to make it work, she was like, I can't do it. And so there's some conversations that we definitely need to have, and understanding different generations. This is not just a male-female thing at this point. I think, yes, it's always going to be male-female. That whole men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing. We are very different. But I think a big part of the conversation is we have so many different generations right now. I think we have more generations overlapping now than we've ever had before. And so because we have that, the landscape is different, it's changed, and we have social media. So we have so many different dynamics affecting how we interact with people, with human beings, period. We ain't even got to talk about dating, because I see a whole lot in the workplace just because of different generations and the work ethic and different things. That's a whole different conversation. So, having some type of conversation, having cross generations come together and have like this conversation about just human interactions and expectations is necessary, because then if we have those understandings, movements like Me Too and anything else, and feminism and anything else that comes along, it's not necessarily that we'll be on the bandwagon, but we will fully understand our expectations and what's happening with one another. It'll be out there on display, and then we can kind of govern ourselves accordingly. So yeah. Any parting words before we close out the show, Mr. Towns?
No, I'm going to say, related to Me Too, in that conversation just for us, having that conversation more. I know when you make comments or you speak about it, you take a chance of being attacked, but just being a little more courageous to, put that thought on somebody's mind, to say, hey, let's evaluate it, because the victims are usually, those accusations ruin lives and damage uh, people's character and their brand.
Yeah.
So before I share something, I don't share. I'm conscious now. Before, instead of sharing something, I'm adding to the problem. So if I was to see a story and it's alleged and all this stuff, I don't even share the story. So just being more conscious about, the things that are trending, but how do they affect us? I don't want to participate
Right.
in bringing negative or bringing something that's going to damage and give us more issues,
Right.
That we have right now.
I agree. Well, thank you guys. This has been a great episode of Ladies Dating in the Time of Me Too. We're going to keep talking about relationships and hammering this home, because I think that it's very important, especially if we want to have healthy relationships. And I personally would love to see the Black family structure get back to where it used to be, very strong and united the way it used to be. And so it starts with dating and how our perceptions and our expectations of one another and the conversations that we have. So thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Ladies. You've been on the mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach. If you like this episode, please make sure you like and share it. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or a special guest you'd like to have on the show, email me at info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, thanks for listening. Keep it classy, sexy, and modest as you spread lots of love and light. Until next time, bye.